Okay, time flies. The opening chord is the A7 with the suspended fourth. We've got the capo on at the 5th fret. So everything is going to be relative to that. So we're playing an A7, which is on relative to the capo, the 7th fret, 2nd fret, sorry, and suspending that 4th there. And we're not playing the low E string, which is an A note because of the capo. And to do the muting of that, I naturally use my middle finger to mute it, and that's just a light touch. So when we actually strum it, it's dead. Bit of a harmonic, but within the strumming it disappears. In terms of the muting on the 5th and 6th strokes, Stephen Wilson uses left hand muting, and having watched the videos, he doesn't use right hand palm muting. He's exclusively left, but he's doing what I would naturally do, which is use my middle finger, excuse the middle finger, to mute the strings. Now it doesn't really matter, it's a very fast muting. It's not hard, it's not, it's gentler, it's more gentle. There's still an element of the notes playing through it. When we play it slow, the notes are going to ring out, the open strings are going to ring. But when it's played faster, they're buried in the overall playing. So we're only fretting 2 notes. The rest are open, so you can't mute with those 2 fingers. You end up with the open strings ringing out. I'm going to change the position so that my right hand is in it. I'm sorry about the positioning. That's not very good. I'll back up. So if we lift off our 2 fingers, we only mute those 2. So we need help. So we lift off those 2 fingers, so they are muted. The D string and the B string are muted, but the open notes will ring if you strum. So this is where we need this finger. We literally lie it down. It nicely sits between there. Having watched the Stephen Wilson videos, this is exactly how he does it. He's probably as trained as I am, which is not very well trained. It's just the way that you develop naturally, I think. I don't know if there's a better way, but it works for me. We start off on a downstroke, and we've got 4 strokes, and then we've got the 2 percussive strokes. So slowly it's along the lines of bit messy there, but and then jumping back to the suspended 2nd, and we're just removing our finger off the B string. Again, slowly with the percussion, we lift off, we touch the strings there, and we actually strum. I strum the low 4 strings, if you like. Let's try that with that A7 suspended 4th, the main opening chord, the 2nd chord with the percussive bits in between, and I hope it comes across. But it's not heavy muting; it's light muting. So. I'm hardly touching those strings. My right hand palm is not touching the strings. Bringing it a bit more up to speed. Let's have a go at that. It's not the right riff. I'm going to try that again. I wasn't happy with that. I'm catching that E string there, so I'm going to use my thumb there a little bit to just deaden it. yeah, I'm using that finger, and then on that I'm probably bringing in more fingers there. They're just lying on the strings. When we move to this shape here, those two chords, there are more strings to mute. So I still use this middle finger, but I now have 3 strings to mute, and I can mute those 3 strings, and I think we use more of those strings in the muting. So oh Jesus, I apologise. That's an exaggerated muting. He tends to roll it a little bit more, so there's probably it's just lighter on the muting, I think, and he's faster than this. So something along the lines of I think you get the idea on that. Okay, so recapping, gentle muting, nothing on the right hand. The speed takes you through the problems of any open strings ringing on. So if you're playing it slow and doing it, it would be awful, you know. Try that again. Okay. So lift the strings off gently, use your other fingers to compensate. When you're playing that one there, you've now got 3 fingers to cover with. I'm strumming on that section there the high 4 strings for the percussive bits and the main chords, but I'm not really, I'm probably using that finger there to mute the 2 low strings. You can keep the A on, I think, but I'm certainly muting the low E. I forget to change my fingering when I come back from there to there. I tend to do that. Anyway, the next part is the, I don't know what chord that is. I think you know that chord. Now this is a looser muting. I think he allows this one to roll a little bit because we're using all the strings. So my muting is going to be really my muting is going to be quite muted. I'm going to let the muting roll into the rhythm. I'm not going to dampen the strings too much. So it's almost, I'm letting that the open string come through there. So you can almost play it open there. This one's a bit different, but because there's the open strings on there, the 3 high strings are those strings are open. Then we can let it. They're going to play through. We're not really stopping them. I think you can get away with that with just using your fingers lifted off the strings on that, and not heavy muting. And then the last chord on that section is the only interesting thing I'm doing on there is when we're fretting that, you can probably see this finger here. I'm touching the low E string now, the A note, but I'm using my finger, the tip of my finger, to catch that string. So when I'm playing that key, if I try and pluck it, I can play that note, but when I play the low string, I'm bringing my hand around a little bit to mute it. So there's some natural muting on just by the positioning of the song, and it stops that string ringing out. Whether that's needed or not, I'm not entirely sure, but so you're getting into a pattern of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I should point out the right hand never stops. Watch the live video, it never stops moving. And if you watch him playing it live, he's swinging quite wildly at it. Anything else to add? I think that's long enough, isn't it? Okay, anyway, I hope that helps. A little bit of time flies. It is just practice like anything else. Don't go heavy on that muting. Don't worry too much about the sounds ringing through. Watch the live video on Octane Twisted for this. I think this is the exact technique that he uses live. I'm not entirely sure about the studio. The studio is obviously a bit more rigorously controlled. But that's my little time flies tutorial. Okay, thanks for watching. The one guy who will probably see this. Okay.